Good afternoon. I'm Dara Bunjon. I'm the food enthusiast here at J More Living. I'm a food writer, food stylist, PR maven, and a frustrated baker. Those of you joining us live on Facebook, drop your comments and questions for my guests or myself into the comment box, and you'll see me sort of look to the side and check to see, and we'll address any questions or talk about your comments. So do feel free to drop in and leave a comment. All right. Today's guest is Dorette Snover, a chef, storyteller, teacher, private chef, NPR food commentator, food stylist, media escort, television producer, forager, and culinary guide. Phew, that's a lot. For close to 3 decades, she is the owner of C'est Bon Cooking School. Dorette continues to teach, write, travel, and explore connections between kitchens, stories, identity, and belonging through her novels, essays, newsletters, and memoir projects. Let's bring in Dorette.
Hello. Hi, everybody. Hi, Dara. Thank you for having me on the Food Enthusiast. I think we share that enthusiasm.
Right. You know what? That's all I hang out with usually is people who love food. You can always talk about food.
Oh, it is endless possibilities to.
Yes, yes. Other than today's show, what else do you have on your plate to do?
Well, I have to get back down to the garden. We have a couple of gardens here at the school, and we're going through a drought. I'm sure you might be where you are as well, but got to water the garden, pull some more carrots, which are being prolific this year, and other than that, I need to send out a newsletter about happenings. So pretty light day actually, except for
Yeah.
this.
Tell me about the cooking school and the physicality of it. You said a garden, but you have chickens. I saw at one point, do you still have goats?
We do. We love having some baby goats from Celebrity Dairy, which is a premier goat cheese producer here in North Carolina. Long-term friendship with Britt and Fleming Fan, the original owners of it. There's an inn there. But yes, we have this year we named them Koji and Miso. So they are just the sweetest little things. So we have goats. The physicality of this. So I am sitting in the kitchen of our house, which is in the northwest part of Chapel Hill. Sort of the history of the school is that we had this hurricane come through here in 1996, September. I can't remember the exact day. It blew away, but then destroyed the kitchen, dropped trees all over the property, and not only us, but lots of people in this neighborhood. And after that, we rebuilt the kitchen, and our sons were 10 and 7 at the time, and they were always having their friends over. I was doing a mix of food styling and writing. I wrote a column for the paper, but cooking was always something going on in the kitchen. And so one week I said, hey, why don't you, let's just have everybody over for the day and we will cook lunch, basically. We'll learn some things, have fun. And so that's really how it all started. It just kind of came from teaching the kids in the neighborhood. The hurricane was a huge gathering time of community at this right out in our cul-de-sac. Everybody that was out of power brought their unfrozen and food to be made into something. We all set up tables in the cul-de-sac and we shared all of our meals out there. And it was such a wonderful thing for such a disaster that became something that not, I won't say a light went off in my head, but my arms just decided to hold this part of cooking and giving
In the
with the
gathering.
school. Yeah, and
Yeah.
the gathering. So that after a while we could not sustain the amount of kids that were coming to the classes in the summer. So we decided to hire this wonderful Argentinian man, Ramon Garcia, to build us an actual cooking school on the property. And so it is, I'm not good with measurements. I'm probably not a good baker either, Dara, but
Don't say that.
it's, but it's probably 200 feet from the house and it's all here. So it's an expansive property. We're lucky that we back up to some woods that are great for walking, our 3 golden retrievers, and the chickens have free runs sometimes. But anyway, it's a busy place. We have bees, fig trees, so many things to take care of. I should get out there and do something with that.
Yeah. So, of course, the new thing here it's going, let's see. Sorry, the new
Oh,
computer has gone to sleep. I have to.
uh-oh. So recap.
Okay. No, I got you. I got you. It'll come up in a second. We're just reloading. It's welcoming me back. It went to sleep.
Oh,
So I I was reading your bio or part of it, and I your background. Now, did you grow up Pennsylvania Dutch? I know you have Italian heritage and you have a French name. So let's click on that.
okay.
Okay. Now
Yeah.
the computer is definitely gone here, but talk to me. We're
Hey,
just gonna do something here if we can get the mouse to work. Here we go.
okay. Should I
All
just keep
right.
talking?
Yeah, fill us in more about the Pennsylvania Dutch. Was I reading that right?
Yes, absolutely, Dara. So, kind of a little bit more background on that is that I was adopted, and my cousin turned out to be my cousin. He was adopted too, and we were raised as brother and sister.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
was in Reading, Pennsylvania. Turns out we a lot of these things I didn't find out until much, much later, till 2020, when I did a DNA test, that I had Italian heritage, and in fact grew up so close to my biological family that it was both wonderful and explained a lot of things, but it also was something that, was a bit of a shock. A
I
good shock, but anyway, so I grew up with, this combination of souffle pie, um, the seven sweets and sours, chow chow, all the wonderful things from Pennsylvania, apple butter, a lot of agricultural sort of things going on. Also, you can throw in a little gefilte fish because the man that my adopted mother married in her second marriage was Jewish, so I got exposed to wonderful lox and bagels and a whole smorgasbord of
well,
Jewish things.
I have to ask you about the gefilte fish because
Okay.
I married Italian,
Oh,
and if you weren't raised with gefilte fish being around you, eh, my
it calls
mother's
up
was
strong feelings.
my mother's was delicious because she'd go down years ago to Lexington Market and get the fresh fish, and she
Mm,
wouldn't grind it. She would
mm,
use a chopper and a wooden bowl. And we're going to memories.
okay.
She had this wooden bowl and a lot of white pepper and the fish and chopping it so it was flaky, more, it didn't have cream, more like a quenelle, but light and
Mm,
fluffy.
right.
And in those days, we didn't know from sushi, but my sister and I used to like to scrape that wooden bowl and eat the
Oh,
leftover gefilte fish. So
okay.
hers was very light, very flaky, not ground. So I didn't know, you know, having not seen gefilte fish before when you were younger, was it something that you ever decided outside of that house to ever eat again? I'm just curious.
Oh, yes. I mean, it was one of those things that my mother, being not so much because she was a doctor, but she was a doctor, and the kitchen was the farthest thing from her thoughts in terms of like what is a good thing to do. And that's okay because I'm sure it probably worked out better that my grandmother Nana, who raised us, took over. Well, I don't say took over. She was the matron of the kitchen. But anyway, the gefilte fish was a jarred gefilte fish, maybe Manischewitz. I'm not sure if that was the brand that it was, but I loved the horseradish. We often had red beet horseradish that went with it. And I did seek it out when I went to, even when I went up to the Culinary Institute in Hyde Park, it was one of those comfort things for me because it did, as you just mentioned, canals, when we were in the kitchens and making, haute cuisine and everything.
Right.
It reminded me of gefilte fish.
Yeah, I'm just saying. And just to let everybody know, your education, you went to Culinary Institute of America, which at that time only had a 2-year program, which you
Correct.
graduated from. And they later came in with like a 4-year, if memory serves me correctly. But you also
Yes,
got a Bachelor of Arts in Home Economics.
I did. And it was, again, my mother, my adopted mother, who was a doctor, she wanted me to pursue medicine. And that was not my cup of tea. The closest I could get was dietetics, and I'm not quite sure that home ec fit that bill, but I slid that by. I got by with home ec education to kind of make her happy. And then once I graduated from college, did my teaching and all of that, which was fun. I enjoyed being with the students, although I was a lot shorter than some of them. Then
You're
we got
preaching to the
married.
choir.
So that was an experience too. But when we moved to Boston, I got cooking jobs. Um, and then from there, we moved to Laramie, Wyoming, which was unbelievably fabulous. Sounds like it was a big culture shock between Boston, Massachusetts, and Laramie, Wyoming. But just something about those open spaces and everything felt new. It was kind of our pioneer time, I guess. And it was then that I decided I was cooking there too, just doing, I was a cook at a farmhouse fraternity, which was great because they love to eat and I love to cook. So it was like greatest, to make these big meals that were really appreciated. I rode my bicycle at like 4 o'clock in the morning to go to a donut bakery and help. So I did a lot of different things. I did get to cook in a hospital, which was fun because I worked with a dietitian, and honestly, I couldn't wait till she left every day because then I would put some oregano in the tomato sauce, which wasn't in the recipe. But I think
Yeah.
that turned out okay. And that's when
Yeah.
I decided to pursue culinary as a career and go back to the CIA, go to New York and
Right.
CIA.
So you didn't teach like in high school home ec.
I did not. I did my student teaching, which was fun, but no, I did not teach high school home ec. When we went to Boston, I got a job. I did get a job in Lowell at the hospital, but I was a dietary aide, I guess, somebody that goes around and asks the patients, you checked off meatloaf. Are you sure you want meatloaf? Let me tell you, you don't want
Right.
meatloaf.
You don't want meatloaf. You probably don't want
Right.
any of this food. The reason I
Right.
asked about a home ec, because when I saw that, you got your degree in home economics, my mind went right back to high school. And I don't think they have home ec anymore. I mean, I don't have children, so I don't know what's going on in the schools. But
I think they call it
I
family living or something like that now.
I guess something like that. But I just remember we had to sew a skirt, and everybody had a problem with the zipper. And then they made cream chip beef, and we had never seen cream chip beef in our life.
Right.
Just memories. If anybody is watching here, I'm looking to say, pop in with your food memories. And so, growing up, your mother wasn't much of a cook.
Right.
So was there a fond food memory from growing up?
Oh,
Something?
Yes, two different avenues, I would say, of food memories, or maybe three, because my grandmother Nana was a very wonderful Pennsylvania Dutch cook. So we had all of the classics, the Pennsylvania Dutch classics: chicken pot pie, chicken corn soup, baking. Monday was always baking day with Nana, so I made, we made potato cakes, we made AP cakes, we made all of the shoe fly pies, all kinds of things like that. So I got a really great basic um, learning with Nana. She put me to the test. I probably was 7 or 8, and she gave me a bowl with butter and sugar and a wooden spoon and creaming it. That was all I had to do. But, I could not please Nana. It was a good lesson. So my mother, my doctor mother, she didn't want anything to do with the kitchen, which was fine. She loved to travel, and she took us out to, we'd always, not always, but we'd often go to New York. We'd stay at the Waldorf. We would do the Easter parade on Fifth Avenue, like Judy Garland, and go to Seafair of the Aegean and Horn and Hard Arts and Broadway shows. And so I got the dining out part from her. My adopted dad, Bud, was the produce manager at the Acme Market. So he was always bringing us, my brother and I, new things. Like at that time, kiwi was a new thing. So I got a
Mm.
whole sense of different different sensibilities. And then when I met Rich, he was 15, I was 16, and his family, his mother was Polish, so I got to know a little bit more about Polish cooking and pierogies and all kinds of yummy things.
So were you married very young?
Uh, we hooked up very young, 15, 16. We didn't get married until I graduated from college. I was 22, he was 21. In the meantime, the family tragedy was that my brother drowned. So that kind of put I had different plans before that happened. Um, and who
Sorry.
knows? Yeah, thank you. But, life is, I'm doing a lot of writing now, and I'm working on a memoir that kind of will kind of be a big part. He's a big part of that.
Right. So let's see. We were talking about the family table. You said the kitchen as a threshold, food as a doorway into memory, identity, travel, belonging, and storytelling. And of course, I have many stories in my brain, but you do a column or there's a page, The Whispering Kitchen.
Yes, so that is my kind of place on Substack where I do the Whispering Kitchen archive. Um, Kind of stories from the time that I was a private chef in Colorado. After I graduated from CIA, got a job with another graduate, Mary Pat, and we worked for Ann and Perkins Sam's that were out of Texas in along the Gunnison River. So I have an article, a post in their story about working for them, and another couple of characters in Colorado Springs. So I loved being a private chef, but that's like one chapter of the Whispering Kitchen archive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, just to tell everybody, you can follow Dorette at DoretteSnover.com,
That's my
the
website.
cooking school, because
Right.
they do all kinds of things there, SaceyBone.net, and you
That's
can look up
correct.
how to spell Stacey Bone, because if I tell you now, you're not writing it down anyhow. And the
Right.
Substack is you go to Substack and put in Dorette Snover in there, and you'll have access. And here they come cutting the lawn under the window. I don't
I
know
was
if you can
wondering.
hear.
Yeah, I can hear that. I was like, something's happening at Dara's. Yeah.
Okay, there's always something interesting happening under my windows. Um, as for food memories, it's a regular question during my show, almost the second question is tell me about your family table. And I just feel that, you know, we lost that probably a long time ago, where the
Mhm.
kids are on the phone, both parents are working. And I was blessed to have a mother who says we all sit down at the same time and eat dinner. Um, and I was thinking about those things for me that go back um, in its day, that my mother from the butcher would get unpasteurized eggs and she would put it in the chicken soup.
Mhm.
And the times she would, normal Jewish cooking, average cooking, but every once in a while she did like a veal scallopini and a stuffed lobster. The lobster
Mm.
was on sale, crab meat was on sale. And I'm just wondering if anybody's watching, or later on, if you're watching the video, leave a comment. Tell us about your food memories, and your kitchen table. Um, your son Eric is now basically running the cooking school. Am I correct?
Yes, so Eric is a chef as well. He spent time in Vail, Colorado, and he trained under a Japanese chef for sushi. And so for years, he owned a Japanese sushi restaurant in Vail, and came home in 2018 to. He loved the sushi life, being a sushi chef and all of it, but restaurant life is what it is. And um,
Very hard.
so he and his fiance are running the school together. Mostly, I get to participate and hold classes and do some things. But it's wonderful to see him. It's wonderful to have that legacy, and he grew up obviously here. It's funny to see photos of him as a youngster, as 10, that he was helping already in the kid chef classes that we were having because he had that chef sense, like looking at someone else rolling out pasta. He was like, I don't think so.
The I used to organize cooking classes in the restaurants. This is going back to the 80s, before even the Food
Hmm.
Network. And over your 3 decades with Stacey Bond Cooking School,
Hmm.
you see trends, you see how things are going. What was different 30 years ago? What's new now? What are the kids, because you do a children's cooking school? Tell me more about what you're seeing as changes. And, the people are now dieting with the medication. And what are you seeing? I'm just throwing that door
Yeah,
open to you.
thank you. We see a lot and we see not that much. We see a lot in that the kids have, I think the year 2020 made a lot of changes with
Right.
screens. So I would say the biggest challenge that we see is attention, and the challenge just to be focused in on making a recipe, seeing it from start to finish. It's not something that you can finish in 30 seconds so usually Wednesday, they start on Monday, and it's a week-long program. Wednesday is the day we see the most change, or like, the light bulbs go off and hey, oh, we get it, we get that, this is what it takes. And so having them see what it takes to make it and clean up and sit down. And that's one
Right.
thing that we do at the school is it's not like we insist on it, but it's just the way that it is. We sit down and have one course at a time with the kids. So they get to really taste it and understand it and enjoy it. And I would say that, as I say, some things have changed, some things have not changed, in that there are some that this is already happening at home, and some that this is a revelation, and some that continue to go home and it's kind of like from the kids teaching the parents, an appreciation for this. And I see that families are much busier than they were, 30 years ago.
Right.
Life has changed, and not all for the bad, but, life has just accelerated, I think. So we still preach that, cooking and being close to your family and friends is worth slowing down for.
Absolutely. Absolutely. With all the years that you've been teaching, have you heard back from any of your students who took the culinary path and became a chef or got involved with food?
I think that is so satisfying to see, to hear back from, and not all of them that we were like, because sort of the way the program worked is that we'd have kid chefs and then they would age out at 14. At 14, then they were eligible for what we called our intern program so that they could come back in and help teach. They could help lead a group. So some of those
Wonderful.
students did go on. One, went on to do film school in New York, Alex. Then we had Jeremy Solomon, who left here and went to open Aggie's counter in New York City. And, so it's those stories that are like the top stories, but there's so many in our eyes, stars that came through here and that they were just able to pursue what it was that they wanted, whether it was in food or not, but the devotion that it takes to actually pursue something and stick with it. So we're, yeah,
Great.
really proud of all of them.
Something, you know, in reading things, I'm just throwing this out, people. I didn't know that there are certified bread sommeliers.
Right? I recently read that there's certified honey sommeliers as well. So it is interesting that, we can pursue something like that. And bread certainly is one of those things for me and many people, I think, that calls to mind home, heritage connection, all kinds of tasting notes.
I want to get to your writing because that's your big passion now. Not, I don't think when you started out back in home ec and things like that, was writing a gig for you then, or how did this evolve?
I don't think that I thought of it as writing. I loved part of my growing up was because my doctor mom didn't live with us. She lived in Philadelphia when she was working for the Veterans Administration there, was letter writing, postcard writing. It was a big part. So I go back and I
Okay.
those postcards and letters, like when she and my grandmother moved to Arizona. They tell so many stories. So not directly in terms of like I'm going to write this story, but those letters now are stories. But yes, I think I always was an observer, always was. And then when I started writing things down, adventures with the cooking school and the teens that we would take to Gascony and Arles, I think it kind of grew from there. I had a blog on called Planting Cabbages for a long time on another. I can't remember what the platform of that was, but
Probably
uh,
Blogspot.
Blogspot or yes, very
Right.
yeah, something like that. But
Back in its day.
back in the
Uh,
day. But I think the thing that really kicked it off for me was food styling, because I saw that there was so much going on, that there were all these different like playing fields of focus in on the food. But anyway, there was a lot of I wrote a lot of stories, and that's kind of how one of my novels really got its basis.
right. Let's talk about the Elysian uh, Legacy series, which is a fictional word. It's about, um, uh, I guess, Elysian evokes paradise, Greek and Roman myths. But a lot of these Tales of the Mistress was about grain and fire, the Bread
Mhm.
of Dreams recipes, the Mistress of Apples and Bacase, apples. Tell us more about that. Everything from even whatever you write, for some reason, food is in there. So tell us about this. Is this a trilogy? Is there a fourth book to this?
Yes, there is. So looking ahead, I'm working on the fourth one called Escoffier's Butter Mistress. And so it takes place in Paris during the time of Les Halles, the great big market there. And if you've ever read The Belly of Paris by Zola, it's set in that time period. But it is so going back to the Elysian legacy. So these mistresses, and I use that term mistresses, but they're not all women, and it doesn't denote a certain uh,
Lifestyle.
lifestyle. Thank you, Dara.
You're welcome.
It really is a keeper. The mistresses are keepers of myths and stories, and certainly in Tales of the Mistress, keeper of the seeds. And this certainly was, um, you could look at it as a analogy to some things that are going on today with certain companies that are keeping the seeds and say they can't be sold, or they can't be reproduced, or so this is the battle in Tales of the Mistress with this young girl Epi, who has been hidden as a boy. She's been hidden as a boy by her mother, who was the leader of this agrarian guild, this underground agrarian guild called Somi, which Somi just in Greek means bread. So these mistresses are helping Epi. She does not know that, knows nothing about this whole underground network of people that have been keeping the bread alive. And there's a bread, specifically, different kinds of bread of dreams that are much more, that are the breads of the mistresses, as opposed to a more like a miche, a big sourdough crown, which was just a different style, but flatbreads from the Eastern Mediterranean have a history that meant that those people were on the move. They were always ready to pick up and go. They were more like peasants. They were the foragers. They were the ones who actually grew the grain. They weren't like the in my story, the bread guild that owned it and was only interested in money. So that's the battle that Epi faces, to try to find out where she's from and whether or not she can actually become again the girl that she was, Elione.
All right. Everyone, just a reminder, all this information has come up in the comments section, but more about the Elysian legacy, you'll find more at DoretteSnover.com, SaceyBone.net for the cooking school, and Dorette Snover for Substack. Her writing is lyrical, so learn more, have opportunity to get that information. And also, with all this writing, you created your own publishing company, didn't you?
Oh, I did. Hold on. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Oh, okay.
We love
I
technology,
pressed a
don't we?
button. I pressed a button with an X on it, and it was like, oh no, that was the wrong button. But yes, I'm sorry. What were you asking?
I said you started your own publishing company.
I did. I called it DES Publishing LLC, and yes, I was uh, running the cooking school for such a long period of time. I just really wanted to be in charge of my show. Um, and that has its good points and its bad points. You're wrestling with formatting and all those things, but I wouldn't change it. So
Okay.
yes.
Well, we can probably talk forever, which we'll probably do more so now that we've connected on our
Right.
different pages here on Facebook. And you have my number, I have your number,
Right.
girlfriend. All right.
There you go.
Some of the final questions that we ask is, what was your ultimate culinary fail?
um I guess I'd have to say there were lots of those. In two come to mind. One was with the cooking school, and it turned out, anyway, I won't tell you how it turned out, but the kids that were in charge of making the bread added a cup of yeast instead of a cup of. So that day I said, I looked at their faces. They told me instead of like hiding it, and they were honest about it. So I said, don't worry about it. We're going to add more flour. We're going to make a lot of bread today. So that was just like we had bread coming out of our ears, out of the oven for a long time. So that was
Yeah,
potential disaster.
I, I was picturing that scene of Lucille Ball with that piece of
Oh,
bread, that loaf of bread that kept coming out of the oven and kept coming and coming.
yeah, just add some kids to that and you got it.
Right. Okay. Um, Best bite you've had all week.
Well, that's really hard. Honestly, it's one of those. We had some beef daube that they had made in the cooking school, and Eric, my son, that's one of his things that he really loves. Also, Vietnamese food. Any Vietnamese food that he makes is unbelievable. But the but daube is something that we had just last night, so that would be my choice.
What was it?
Beef daube. So
Oh,
it's a
okay, beef jerky. Okay.
yeah.
I'm hearing something else. So, okay. Daube, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. All
Provençal,
right.
yes.
Now I can
But we
spell
also
too,
there's
people.
but that goes with the story that I should add is that one time we were making a niçoise ravioli for a class coming up, and part of that is it gets stuffed with a filling that has beef dough in it. So I had this wonderful Le Creuset cookware gold color. It had a huge pot, and I was making the dough and I burnt it. And that was so I had to start all over again for that. So I guess that was a culinary disaster as well.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so now Eric and I have this term, don't dobe it.
That's cute. That's cute. Um, if you go back and give your 18-year-old self a piece of advice, what would it be?
Hmm. Well, I think I'd have to say something along the lines of get on the train, keep going, trust the process, trust the journey, and that's not something as an 18-year-old that, you know, is easy, but that's what I would say. Keep
Right.
going, get on the train and stop where you're not planning to
Okay.
stop.
If you could wake up tomorrow morning, Dorette, with a new talent, what would it be?
Singing. I think I'd love to be a lounge singer, kind of like the Parisian. There was like even the one who sang C'est si bon,
Right.
there was a lot of singers
Eartha
that
Kitt.
Eartha Kitt, oh my God, right? What a voice. So that would be my wished for talent.
Okay. What didn't I ask you that I probably should have?
Oh my goodness, that's a tough one. Um,
Anything else you'd like to share with people? Let's put it that way.
I think, the building of something, the patience that it takes to and not give up. The years that I was writing columns here for the Chapel Hill News were just it's different today because you can just put something up online. So not everything that is easy is bad, but not everything that's easy is good either. So if it takes a little bit more work, I'm really excited about, when I go back and look at those columns, only because I did that for 6 years until my mother passed away in Mesa. Um, so I guess there's a whole lot of writing that I can pull from to work on my memoir. And that's kind of the other thing besides the fourth book in the series, but that's the other thing that I'm working on, a memoir called From Mesa to Messina.
Okay.
So
Well, Miss Dorette will be very
there.
proper, very southern, and I thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to share your story with us. And I have a couple of announcements to make. So have a great day, and Griffin will take you out, or you can just click out or stay and listen to my other bits of news.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Dara, so much. I had a great time talking,
Thank you,
getting to
Dorette.
know you a little bit. Thank you.
All right, everyone. You scream, I scream, we all scream for ice cream, especially next week's guest, Brian Sorensen, whose official title is Ice Cream Aficionado. He has eaten ice cream all around the world. The question nowadays, what constitutes real ice cream? Join us live next Thursday when Brian is a guest. We all eat ice cream. Be surprised what you can learn about it and tasting it and get more out of it. You can reach me at Dara Cooks on Instagram and on Facebook, The Food Enthusiast. Feel free to go back into our archives at jmoreliving.com's website. Go to the drop down menu under food, and you'll see the Food Enthusiast there. And you'll see the Food Enthusiast tab. You can also sign up for a bi monthly food newsletter that JMOR sends out with recipes, videos, etc., and it's free. And before I forget, let's wish all the fathers a happy Father's Day this weekend. We truly appreciate it when you share our show with friends and family. May your plates always, always remain full. See you next Thursday.